Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the FansToys FT-51 Chomp, their take on a very G1-esque Skullcruncher. Now, this is a pretty good figure, and it's pretty solid. It looks pretty good overall. And it really does pay homage to the original G1 character. Now, I did get this at Show Z. I'll have a link down below where you can get yours. But let's take a big chomp out of this Chomp figure coming up. Taking a good look at the box here, and just typical FansToys artwork. Looks pretty good all around. Fits in with the Takara boxes too, kind of like FansToys always does. And look at that great team on the back, which I will be able to complete the team soon. So looking pretty good overall. Look, it says FansToys 2022. This isn't one of those held back reissues. It's a new figure. Alright, so right out of the box, you're going to need to look at a couple of things. First of all, he's going to have his waist backwards like this, so just flip that around. And then down here, now I didn't do it, I already opened mine up, but I had these closed on mine, and I'm sure that's for packaging, and that's fine. So that was a little bit of a bear to get those guys out. And then you got to watch out for this, because I had the collapsing part right here collapsed in on mine, and it wouldn't turn, and I was like, why is it not turning? Because it just needed to come out just a bit more. So those are the few things that I noticed that I had issues with right out of the box. I don't know, aside from the waist being turned backwards, if the rest was just a mistake. I did have my thumbs on backwards too. They were just positioned backwards. They weren't mounted backwards. So just getting out of the box, there's a lot of straightening up on this guy, but it's nothing major. So taking a look at him, he does look really nice. Very interesting color deco. Of course, that did come from the original G1, but the colors they used really do work very well. And overall, he does look like a very nice looking character, nice looking figure overall. So getting to look at his face, and it's a very, very good head sculpt, very good face sculpt, and I do kind of like that. I like the green, and I do like how it's kind of metallic. It's a little subdued, but it's you can tell it's got a bit of a flattish metallic paint to it. I don't even know how to explain it, but it does look kind of nice down here with the silver. Now, I'm not even sure. I believe this is painted also. So I actually think all of it's painted because it just looks so good. That's not just bare plastic anywhere on this thing. And it's solid. It's very solid. It's got some weight behind it. But it's kind of strange because some of the places I would have thought they would have put die cast, there's no die cast. So still pretty good. It's still plenty of die cast in this figure overall. And then got the signature alligator head on the back there, or crocodile, one of those two. But let's go ahead and take a look at this guy's accessories. Very minimal in the accessory department here, but we do have his gun, which looks pretty good. And I mean, I don't know if that's the G1 gun. I don't have a G1 gun with my G1, so I don't know how close it is to the G1, but it does look good. A little bit of paint right there, and it does look like it's kind of, the whole thing's probably painted too. It's got a metallic bluish silverish color to it. And then we have his sword, which actually is articulated when it turns into the tail. And of course, that's the carryover gimmick that it has, is a sword and flexible sword, flexible tail kind of thing. And really not much paint. The whole thing's probably painted itself, but not any accents really painted on it. So, and a nice little screw hole covers that they put into it. So looking pretty good. Let's see what it looks like in his hands. Typical tab in, like all Masterpiece for the most part, but tabs in right there, and then we can put the sword in his other hand, or however you want to do it. And here is the sword, same situation. Tab it in. Actually, this really can only tab in one way because of the where it's set, so where that tab is. And he holds it relatively well. Holds it relatively well. Looks good with his weapons, good with accessories, looking good. Quick articulation test with him. Head is, it's on that whole swivel. It can go 360 because of the base on it. It goes up, and it will go up and down a bit because of the head of the actual headmaster itself moves and is flexible, all that kind of stuff. Shoulders out to about there. You can do a 360. Now, this is something that was kind of strange. So you do have the bicep swivel all the way around, but you got to be careful, because to get the full swivel, you have to have it all the way out. If it's in just a little bit from the transformation, then it doesn't swivel as well. You do have a double jointed more or less double jointed elbows. And then the hands, we already got to look at the hands, and they look fine. They're pretty simple. They feel a little flimsier than some of the other releases on the hands, but since I don't do a whole lot with them, it's really not going to affect me all that much, but some people might bother them. You got side to side. Let's see, does it have an ab crunch? I don't feel an ab crunch in there, and I'm not going to push it. Let's check out these old school. These are some old school flaps. Friction all the way out and ratcheted front and back. It goes further back than front, and then you have the thigh swivel, and you have just about that much at the knee, which isn't a whole lot, but probably more than most people will need. And the feet. The feet are pretty tight, actually, real tight. They move, but real tight, and that's good. You want that on feet on a very heavy figure, side to side, up and down. So at first I was like, wow, this is super tight on the feet. But overall, decent articulation, almost a little bit dated with a couple of the designs, but that's fine because it's going to match the other ones, and they're going to look all very similar on the shelf with Lupus and Dracula and all that. All right, so here he is with the vintage, which is not complete. I don't have mine complete, and that isn't even really his head. But side by side, there are a lot of things that are very similar about these figures. First off, with the transformation, with the way they have these paws here, or claws, I guess you could say, that's similar. The way this folds around, we end up seeing that piece show up in the transformation. And let's see, the tech specs, do the tech specs match? Okay, we really can't tell because I got the wrong head in there, but Highbrow must be really strong and fast and intelligent versus this guy. But this guy, he's a little stronger, right? A little more stronger? Here he is next to MP36 Megatron. This is the Mag-10 version, and I'm a little surprised to see him that much shorter, but I guess all the other ones are that much shorter than Megatron too, so that still looks good together. And next to Mindwipe, or Dracula. Now, I can't really do the full team yet because I don't have Lupus. I passed on him when he originally was out, so look forward to getting Lupus also, putting this team together. That's going to be pretty awesome. Alright, so getting into transformation, first off, we've got the Headmaster, so let's go ahead and get him transformed up. So we're going to it tabs into the shoulders, and you want to untab that, move this down, and then untab from the back. And he has some articulation to him, and it's pretty decent amount of articulation to this guy. But we're going to go ahead and set him aside for now, because he's going to be doing a little bit more later on down the road when we get this guy transformed. So, for his transformation, starting out, we're going to kind of lift this head up. We can disconnect this back piece and just make sure it's disconnected and ready to go for the future. We do need to do the hands, and it is better with the hands to tuck that thumb in, fold all these down, and then we're going to go in like so. And then get the other hand, pretty much the same situation. All right, now with that, we're going to, we can push these pieces in right here, and then I'm just going to get these orientated just right. And get it pushed in and get it ready to go as some feet. Flip these around because that is going to be the feet on each side. And for now, just going to kind of get that out of the way. And then we're going to move down to the legs and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff at the legs. I kind of want the flaps out as you start working on these. So I'm going to flip this out. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. This panel that I say is pretty loose. We're going to lift that up. We're going to fold this heel spur in and then fold this down. Fold this out. Now this isn't folding down as far as I would think it could. Let's get this kind of moved out of the way here. And then all of that goes. Okay, good. Now, we have a few more things that need to happen in here. So we got to get this out of here. let's see. The green leg, slide it down, and it's on a strange slider. Just strange how it slides around like so. It slides in and out, up and down each way, and then kind of get it down sort of like that. All right, we're going to untab this. There's a tab right here. Let's see here. And then we're going to get some of this out of the way, open this up, and then we're going to bring in this whole section here, fold that in on itself, and all that's going to come around. And we have this, the green, we want the green to go away. We want it to all match in that mode. And I think that's kind of where we're at for this so far. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side, and then we're going to close it up. So I did the same thing to the other side, and I realized we have to flip this piece here around also. And so glad I did that there. Now, we're going to end up pushing these down and around. So make sure that you have these joints aligned to where this can go all the way down. So you have to use it on this turn on the universal more or less. Just make sure that you can still bring this all the way down, and then we're going to fold it all around into it. But we have to make sure we have the cavity open back here that we unplugged earlier. So we need to fold these tabs in. Okay, before we can close this up, we have to spin the top part 180. So evidently in editing, I find that I'm missing part of this footage. I don't know how. So anyway, basically how this works in this section, you need to lift this up, and I think I've already pointed that out, and then you're going to fold all this around. Now, I've already left this side. I had to undo it to kind of do this, but yeah, I've left that side. I should have fixed that green, but okay. So you're going to fold this around, and you might want to pull the toe up a little bit to get it in here. But the second side is the hardest, which is, I guess, the best way to show this. So you're going to be putting this foot into this cavity, and it was a lot easier on the first one. At the same time, you're collapsing this, and you're closing the big flap and the small flap, and so all of that goes into place, and it just kind of pops into place relatively well. And then the back part, you have the tail, and you have a double joint on this tail piece, so just make it align and then tab it in. Pretty simple. And then this top piece here came undone. It probably comes undone. It's probably supposed to come undone. You also want to make sure that you close this piece here up, tab it in. So all that's working pretty good. And then we have to have the tail. So let's put the tail on real quick. So to put the tail on, I showed that you separate it from the sword. You just separate each one of these segments, and then you flip this around until you see the top. On the top, you want the notch, because the notch is going to go into the side here. And we're going to notch this tail in, and then we're going to align it, and then we just basically tab the whole thing shut, and it will tab together nice and easy. You do want to get the legs configured like so, and let's get the head in place. You got this collarbone that we disconnected before, and I think I still have the segment where I show how to do that, so that's not a big deal. But getting the legs aligned just right. At first I thought you want the smooth side showing, but you want the screws showing. They're sort of hidden by this anyway, and then that way you can get this little weird small stubby arm. But okay, that's pretty much it on the transformation, and I don't think I lost any other footage after this. So first of all, I want to show you two configurations with this guy and his legs. Now I think that when I think of this character, this is how I think of his legs working and operating, so I like that. I missed that tab on that side. I did it on this side, but I missed it. Didn't flip that one around, so you see green on there, so that's a mistake. No big deal to me, because he's going right back to bot mode in about 7 minutes, but still looks pretty good. So the other thing you can do is, of course, the way it's shown, and have it with the shorter, weird-looking legs like that. I like it better like this, but this is the way it's supposed to be, so I'm going to put it back like that. There are a couple more things that you can do with this guy, which I don't see the point, but these fillers slide out, which I don't know. And then these fillers flip around. These flip around. So if that's something you want on yours also, to have that look like more alligator crocodile bumps there, you can have that too. Now, this mouth does open up, and inside is kind of interesting. You do have some stuff going on in there, so that's kind of cool. He can chomp. Chomp can chomp. And then we can open up his little cockpit. You can kind of stick your finger. I can barely get a tip of a finger in there to open that, but you can open this, and it's really nice inside. It's got like a vac metallized chrome steering wheel, controls, I guess, and then some paint on the inside. That's really interesting. Like a whole lot of detail went into that, which is impressive. This guy here, I didn't put his feet out properly, I guess, but anyway, let's see if we can get him in the chair. We have a lot of fun. They put so much work into this, so much effort into this. I think the weird thing is, nope, you can still have his arms up. So I'm not going to tab it in all the way because it was kind of a bear to untab, but still, it looks great. This thing just looks amazing. Just fantastic. You got some articulation with the tail, articulation with the head, and this comes untabbed real easy, which I'm okay with that because I know I don't want it to be like one of those things that's impossible to untab. And let's look at it from this side where you don't see the green unflipped tab piece there. But overall, really looks good. Really impressive. Just one of those things that I'm probably not going to keep it in this mode. But I wonder if they do repaint it and do that whole Strange Optimus Prime version. Here is actually the G1. I do want to point out the difference in colors. Like the green is sort of close, but the reddish, purplish, whatever, that's way different. But this thing is long. It is huge, which is great, which is really cool. But it does look a lot like the G1. It matches the G1 with so much of the engineering is very similar in some areas. Well, of course, not all of it, but they did copy just a handful of things that pay homage to the vintage one, which is kind of cool. I don't have his tail, but I guess it's expensive. And I don't have his head. I guess that's expensive. I don't have his gun. I guess that's expensive. But anyway, that's what they look like. Now with Hot Rod, and this is the X-Transbot's Cup version of Hot Rod's gun, so Hot Rod can rod around. I did not rebuy this guy with the Target Master version like they wanted us to. But that's how big he is. I mean, I think everybody pretty much knows how big Hot Rod is, and Hot Rod's is, well, really not that big, but a standard carbot size, and just really is huge. I mean, that is huge and crazy. Now there is a weapon storage for him, like right here. So you can just put that in there, and he can store his weapon, and then you can like kind of stand him back up because he doesn't want to lay down forever. Well, maybe he does want to lay down, take a nap. So cool, they integrated that. I don't see so much weapon integration these days. There it is. So this is my look at the FansToys FT-51 Chomp. I think it's a pretty good figure, pretty exciting. Makes me get excited for Lupus that I passed on the first go around. He does look good. Paint is great. He feels hefty, and I feel the weight. And I guess after transforming him, I see why they didn't make some parts die-cast metal, because you do probably need them to flex just a little bit here and there, and there would be paint chipping in those areas. So I guess all that does make sense. They did put die-cast in to give him some heft. The transformation's a little more involved than I would expect out of this character, but then he looks outstanding in both modes. And of course, that's FansToys. They're just known for crazy... crazy transformation. But overall, I really do like this guy, and he's going to make a fine addition to the team. And I do have a link down below where you can get yours at Show Z. Like and subscribe to the Hanger out.
You can only have the heads of the animals. Still you! You'll do as I say or you'll die!